Hi, I'm Maria Quattrone, and this is the Be the Solution podcast. And welcome, Becky, Rynkiewicz, and Raffaellina Merlino. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, Maria.
I wanted to be in a business that I did not have a ceiling. Take a pen and a piece of paper, draw a line, draw another line next to it. At 365 days, if you drew 365 lines, you started here with one line, but look how far you've come.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
I'm so excited to talk with the ladies today of Artemis Live Love.
We're officially Artemis Real Estate now.
Oh, damn it.
So it makes it easier for you.
Artemis Real Estate.
That's it.
So that's, and I read your story about how that all came together, and you guys, it was like serendipitous, first love, Becky and Raffaellina. So tell me the journey. How did you guys end up hooking up?
So I'll start, Raph, if you want. Okay.
Go ahead.
So I met Raffaellina in real estate school. We were both we were getting our New Jersey licenses. So I had already been licensed in PA for 4 years at the time. And I was referring so much business over to Jersey. I'm like, I'm just going to suck it up and sit and get my license. So I go to Jersey, and she was in my class. And it was the first week of January in 2016. And there was a ton of snow. And we ended up exchanging phone numbers. And she's like, hey, where do you live? It's supposed to snow tomorrow. I don't really want to miss class. And like my street gets snowed in. Like any chance, like you could pick me up. I could walk to the end of my block. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Like just give me your address and I'll drive there. So that's how we hit it off and became friends. And we just kept in touch throughout the years. So she got licensed in Jersey and in PA simultaneously at that point. And then we just kept in touch. She she started at one brokerage and then transitioned to KW. And I was at HomeSmart at the time. So I wasn't even at Keller Williams. But we would talk about business. We'd meet up for lunch, have champagne. She got married in
those days.
Yeah. She got married in Italy on the Amalfi Coast in 2017. I went to her wedding, and we just became really, really good friends. And fast forward to 2020. If you want to take it over, Raf.
Well, actually, I want to go back to what happened was I started real estate school. I quit my job in high luxury fashion. I walk in the first day, Becky's on the phone the whole time with deals. So I'm sitting next to these other people. I'm like, none of these guys are going to do anything. They're all like at real estate school as like a hobby. And I'm like, I need to sit next to her. The next day I sit right next to her. I see her pull up in this insane BMW. I'm like, all right, the girl's making money. I got to go sit next to her. So I sit right next to her, and I'm like, what do you got going on? Because you've been on this phone the whole day. And I'm like, I need to know everything. And she was so passionate about what she was doing that she made me more excited about getting into real estate. And I was like, I got to get to know this girl. She was on fire. She was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. These are my goals. Like within 30 seconds, she made turn my little world of like what I thought I was getting into real estate and like expanded it. And that's exactly why when 2020 hit, she was the first person I thought of, because from that point forward, she became my mentor. Becky had already been selling real estate. She was phenomenal at it. But she didn't just work with like a work ethic where, oh, I just sell real estate. Like she truly runs it as a business. And I saw how incredibly educated she was in every aspect of the business. Like she just did everything in excellence. So when 2020 hit and here I am, I have my daughter at home, and I'm like, COVID hits, and I'm like, I told my husband, I'm going to shut my business down. I can't do this on my own. I had no admin. I'm trying to run this business. We had so many regulations on us in PA. It was so ridiculous doing business here. And so I was like, I can't do this. And I ended up going to sleep that night, and I had a dream that Becky and I were business partners. So I called her and I told her that. I said, Becky, I have this funny idea, but in my mind, I'm like, wow, like this would actually be amazing. So I called her, and she's like, Raph, at the time her ex said to her, the day before, I think you and Raffaellina would be great business partners. And so here this thing happens, and her and I just kind of like entertained it. And the more we entertained it, the more we realized that we were completely aligned in our values, like completely aligned in our vision of what we would want a business to look like. And so we just kept doing it and kept going and kept going. And then and we, one step at a time, we started realizing like this is really going to be something incredible. And so I had been interviewing admins at that time because I said, okay, I have to hire somebody. And Nino, who has been our executive assistant, but really she's like, we call her our CEO because she's just incredible at everything she does. And I said, Becky, I have Nino and I think we should bring her on. And so Becky met her and interviewed her. And then Nino came on and basically she took all of our systems, formulated all of them, our website, our SEO, our everything you possibly imagine. It's been like a partnership with Nino. So like and then, lo and behold, we now have, a team of incredible agents. And so that's where we are today.
Yeah, we just celebrated our 2-year anniversary on June 1st.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yep. I can't even believe it feels like it's been forever, but then I'm like, wow, it's only been 2 years and look at what we've been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So in 2 years,
mm-hmm.
What happened? In 2 tough years.
Yeah. So in 2 tough years, we had to combine both of our databases and our sales techniques, collaborate and mesh it to make it, the Artemis way, and teach all the agents that we hired. So we had no agents. And so we had to hire from the ground up and interview. And we had a lot of, trial and error when it comes to hiring agents, because you think they have the same ethics and values as you, and then you
always always.
Yep. But it's okay. We fail forward always. Yeah. And so we went from doing our own thing to in our first year in business, we closed about 30 million, 107 units. And then this is in year 2, we'll end up doing about 50 this year. Yep. That's what we're on track for, maybe a little bit more, but I want to be a little conservative. And we just hired our second full-time employee, which we're really excited about, our second, W-2 employee. And we have 4 full-time agents that work for us. And we work all over the greater Philadelphia area. So we work in Philadelphia County. I work mainly in Bucks County. It's where I grew up. Our office is in Montgomery County, out on the main line. So we work a lot in Montgomery County. We also work in Chester County because I work with a lot of horse people, so horse farms and such. Delaware County, almost everyone's licensed in Jersey, and Florida is on the horizon too, to be licensed in Florida. So that's what we have going on right now.
You ladies are busy. Oh, that's a lot of miles in the car.
Yeah, I would say over the last 2 years, the thing that we've really mastered and we've done really, really well was we've put our business systems first. We invested in what I think most real estate entrepreneurs make the mistake of, me starting with myself included, of when I was on my own, is kind of did it like the ass backwards way of like not hiring the admin, not doing the systems, not having any of that in place. And all you're doing is you're running this reactive job. It's not even a business. And so we really came together and said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this 150%. We're going to pay, an admin or not even an admin, but someone to truly be, the executive officer of the business, someone who's going to really take the business and build it. And Nino had that experience. She actually worked with, a top agent in North Jersey and took her from, X amount of dollars and helped her double it through marketing. So we said, okay, we really wanted to make sure our marketing was on point, our branding. So we copyright our logo. We made sure that we set ourselves up financially with our accountant, where things are set up as an S corp. And then also really looking back at the one thing we just didn't do as great was hiring the agents. We're like, okay, now we just wanted to give, right? And give and give and give. without any expectation in return, and not realizing what a commodity we are. Like, here we are, we're these two mentors who are willing to give our hearts and willing to really contribute. And, you know, we kind of are, we're faith driven, right? So everything we do comes from a place of contribution. So here we are wanting to grow our world, really only to grow their world. I mean, when Nino started with us, she was, you know, Nino comes from a family of immigrants, as I do as well. And so she's one of the first in her family to own a home. And her goal was to own a home. And she did that within the first year of being with us. And so to provide those opportunities, not that it's because of us, but, you know, it's a part of the culture where we are constantly talking about wealth building, and we want everyone in our world to just continue to grow and to expand and to be greater than when they showed up. And not everybody wants that, right? So like, here we are, we're forcing this on some people. And so we realize that if we just create the systems and we just continue doing the work, the talent will come. And so that's kind of the approach we've been taking. And now our team is truly all value driven and same values. Every single person on our team is a mother. And so we love the fact that we've created an environment where people feel like they can have a home life balance, and that they can raise their families, and whether they're just starting their families or have had families for a while. And that's something that we take great pride in, especially being in a country where mothers are not valued, and maternity leave is not valued. And, you know, being a father in this country and working, it's just, there's no balance. And so really creating, like, paving the way to do things differently, and creating an environment, a culture that embodies everything we had from the beginning, you know, and, you know, live fully, serve selflessly, you know, and give authentically. And I think as we give these, as we have those posted all over the office with our values, I think we really have embedded that in everything we've done. And I think that's really what we've done really, really well. And what we haven't done so well is allowing just, you know, so many people into our world. And so we had high turnover our first year, and now we've really have mastered, like, anyone that's coming on our team is going through a thorough interview process that is like, you know, that, I mean, you're talking about 5-6 interviews. You're talking, you know, we're making sure they understand the expectations and holding them accountable to those expectations.
Yeah, they're on a 90-day probationary period before they're given any leads at all. They have to source their own leads. Actually, we took this out of Mike McCann's book. Like, the first year any agent goes on his team, they're only allowed to sit open houses and run rentals. He doesn't give them any leads because, you know, they have to prove their worth and prove their work ethic and prove that they're worthy to then accept, you know, what we're willing to give. And so we're able to speak with a lot of mentors that helped, you know, which Mike has been an integral part of that. And help, you know, tailor that to what, you know, we want for our business, and set up expectations for to make us successful and follow, you know, what aligns with our values and ethics.
So business principles and standards, and aligning with the culture that you created.
Yeah.
Basically, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So the first 90 days, they're to do open houses, call SOI. What's it look like?
Yeah. So we also use Follow Up Boss for our CRM, which is fabulous. So they, in their first 90 days, they need to put their top 100 contacts in. So their sphere of influence, any people that they might meet, you know, family, friends, you know, you name it. Because we truly believe in it. It's changed our life, having a fabulous CRM, which we didn't have prior to creating the business. And I think a lot of realtors don't understand the value of CRMs because it's a large investment. 1, 2, it takes a lot of time to put the contacts in and to work them and get them on newsletters and on a drip campaign and the whole 9, and staying at the forefront of their minds, because really most people only think about one real estate agent when they think about an agent, and you want to be that person.
That's right.
And so that's what they're doing. They're hosting open houses every single weekend. They are door knocking. They're writing handwritten notes. They're attending as many networking events as possible. And they're shadowing all the experienced agents. So they're shadowing myself, Raffaellina, any other agents on our team. And they have to be go-getters. I mean, that's when I started in the business, and I had I did not have a sphere of influence. I was living in Ohio at the time with my ex-husband. And I started in real estate because I never lived in a house when I was young. I grew up in a trailer park, really poor, and I always wanted to live in a house. And I quit my job as a district manager, and I decided to get into real estate because I was able to buy my first house when I was 24 years old. And I thoroughly enjoyed the process. And I'm like, wow, you don't need an 800 credit score. You don't need to put 20% down. And these are the things that they don't teach you, especially when you're growing up in a low income family and no one's owned a home. So they don't teach you that. So I had to learn that by trial and error on my own. And I'm like, I want to let other people know that they can also realize that home ownership is attainable, and they don't need these, crazy, there's not these crazy misconceptions that you need to have these requirements in order to purchase. So I got into real estate, and while everyone told me not to, it was, the beginning of 2012, the recession was still, people are feeling the effects of the recession still. The housing market wasn't nearly as strong as it is today. I was in Columbus, Ohio, so the cost of living was way different than it is here in Philadelphia. The average sale price was like $145. And everyone that I told that I was getting into real estate, they're like, that's the stupidest idea. Like, even if you were to make it, you can't even probably get any clients because the agents that are selling in these neighborhoods, they already have an established presence and market share, and they're not going to want to work with a brand new agent. What are you bringing to the table? And I didn't let the naysayers get to me. It's a limiting belief, and I just decided to outwork all of the other agents that were there. Because hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, which is one of my favorite quotes. So what I did every single weekend was do open houses because I didn't have any friends or family that lived in Ohio. And that's where I met every single one of my clients. And my first year in 2012, I sold 24 houses, and I was just under 4 million. It was like 3.5 million. And I was overjoyed. I couldn't even believe it. Because going into it, I'm like, I don't even know where I'm going to find my first client. And then looking back on it at the end of the year, I'm like, wow, it was really cool. So we're taking our systems and what we did and what we proved to be successful, and we're teaching the agents that come on our team, like, I've done it. If I can do it, trust me, you can do it. And we have agents on our team that thankfully they listen to us and they follow in our footsteps. And like our one agent, she's going to probably close over $10 million this year.
Yeah.
She's just got licensed in the fall of 2020. And it took me years to sell $10 million in 1 year. And so I'm just like, that's what fuels our fires, is like seeing everyone that works around us that's successful and having their lives change. Like their goal is to buy a beach house. Like she's going to be able to do that soon. Like where before, like, that was not even on her radar,
It's exciting, and it goes to your leadership and walking them through the process. And everybody has to run their own race, right? So some will run faster than others during the course of their journey through real estate, which is just a vehicle for us to pursue our dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So it sounds like she took the bull by the horns and she followed the process and listened and did all the things you told her to do. So to be successful, I find that one of the things has been that a lot of times we want it more for people than they want it for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I've experienced that many, many times over the last 18 years in this industry. And I said, and the other thing also, you cannot tell really who's going to be productive.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
The people that you would think are going to be productive are like, oh my God, I was totally wrong about that. And then the ones that you're like, I don't know, and they totally blow you away. And you're like, wow, I'm glad you proved me wrong.
Yeah.
So we look for people that are gritty, that are a little scrappy, that are persistent and consistent. Maybe not 100% consistent just yet, but persistent.
Yeah.
And then building those skills around that consistency and, all the things that you have to do on a daily basis to be successful, as whether you're selling real estate or mortgages or insurance or any of those things. It's still the same process.
Yeah.
It is. And I didn't sell my first house until I was 6 months in. And a lot of people would be really discouraged by that, because in this world of instant gratification, you can go on Zillow and click an agent's phone number and get someone on the phone and be seeing a house later that afternoon. Or you could go onto Uber Eats and order McDonald's and it's delivered to your house in 20 minutes. Or you go on Amazon and you order something and it's delivered next day, like instant gratification. And that's what people want nowadays.
Yeah.
Where, they don't have the work ethic and the patience to wait for the success. Right. And every single day I was going into the office. I shadowed the top producers in the office. I asked questions. I was a little annoying probably, because I'm like, can I shadow you? I won't talk, I promise. And thankfully the ones that are really successful want others around them to also succeed. So they are more than willing to share. And that's what I found, and still true to this day. And then I, handwritten notes, doing open houses, following up, cold calling, door knocking for 6 months. And, and I just had to stay the course and know that it's a numbers game, real estate. And eventually I was finally going to get my break, and I did. And then ever since then, it was like, the train just had to get a little bit of momentum, and then a little bit more, and then it's coasting. And then it's like at cruise control, like high speed. And, unless you do something crazy to slow it down, like it's pretty much going to keep coasting.
Like a pandemic.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Like that could slow it down a little. It was tough for all of us here in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, with the restrictions that we had, but we all persevered and we've made it through. And
that's what makes good greater leaders, when you go through those things. I know for me personally this year, my husband and I, we gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, Luciana, and she was born with a genetic disorder. And, it was probably the most difficult thing I've ever gone through in my life, because just so many unknowns and things we were being told. And, when you as an entrepreneur, you always find a way to fix it. You'll find a way to do it. And when you're told you have no option, it's like, wait, what? Like, no one tells me no. Like, we're going to figure out a way, right? And, having the foundation that we've built, whether it's through passive income and knowing that we don't have to stress about finances, was having gone through this, I realized the importance of that what we're doing is not just about the day-to-day of making the money and moving the needle forward, but what are you doing to make sure that you're set up in the case that something were to happen. And I think for a lot of people in real estate, they don't set themselves up for a pandemic, for an emergency, for that rainy day. And so what happens is they fall apart when these things happen. And I know that money isn't everything, but it's something, and it's very important when you have a family and you need to, you need to keep that forward. And, Becky, I can't even express what she did for me in that. For 6 months, I was mentally, physically, and emotionally unable to really show up as the person and leader I've always been. And she not only picked up where I left off for me, but ran forward with the baton in a way that I don't even, there's no words to express the gratitude that her and Nino and allowing me to focus in on really helping my daughter and excelling her forward. And now she's in a place where she's doing phenomenal. And I know it's because of that time. I know it's because I was able to take the time to focus and put her in front of the right people and the right therapies and the right doctors and, whatever it might be, but also through just having that understanding that the beauty of what we have as entrepreneurs is that it's your life. If you make it part of your lifestyle and our Anthony, my family knows our business is part of our life. Like, this isn't just my sales business. Anthony's a part of it. My children are a part of it. Everyone's a part of this. And as you bring your family in and your circle into what you're doing, it's so important to understand what the greater contribution is, right? Like, Becky and I donate 10% of everything we make in the business to, for me personally right now, it's for, try stuff. For Becky, it's saving animals and horses. She just sent us a picture yesterday of a horse that was rescued. And so
the horse was abandoned in Hunting Park. And just,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was all over the news. It was left to die, like abandoned in Hunting Park in North Philly, wandering the streets. And thankfully the community, got the horse and tied it up and called ACT Philly, and they called on their rescue partners because they can't take a horse in the inner city. Like, it needs pasture and it needs open spaces. And they called on Last Chance Ranch, which was one of my favorite organizations, and I donate a lot of my time and resources to, and support and love them. And I'm on their gala committee, and we've helped them raise so much money over the years. And they were the ones that stepped up and came and took the horse and brought them up to Quakertown in Upper Bucks County, and he's rehabbing him. And he's like, it's so beautiful.
Wow.
Like the camera crews are there last night, and you see him rolling in the grass, and he's over 200 pounds underweight. He's like skin and bones. It's so sad. And but knowing that we are able to donate to causes like that, to save animals that are voiceless, that's really what drives us. Like, when we think about what our income goals are for the year and like how many homes we need to sell, we think about, okay, how much do we want to give back to the community to make a difference around us? And we set our income goals based on how much we want to donate. And they're really big. They're really big goals. And I would say that mindset for me changed like in about 2018 when I first started flipping. And that's when I first donated. I took 10% of the proceeds of my flip profit. And it was the largest check I ever written that wasn't a bill. It was like, I think $8,000. And I'm like, oh my God, like I really could use this to pay off a student loan or, a credit card or pay down my car payment. But I'm like, you know what? They need it way more than I do. And I drove it to them. I didn't feel any type of like anxiety, or as I was so grateful. And I remember the day it was like pouring rain. It was hailing. I'm like, I'm driving it because I want to give it to them in person. And I handed it to them, and they started crying and like, we can buy a new horse trailer with this money. Like, you don't even know the difference that this is going to make. And right then and there, I'm like, that's going to be my mission in life, is to give back and make a difference, because you see, the difference that it makes, firsthand.
So you have real estate as a vehicle to help others to pursue your dreams, to help others pursue their dreams, to give back to the community. I mean, without real estate, would you be able to do what you're doing now?
Absolutely not. I mean, before I was selling real estate, I was a district manager for Aldi food stores, and I ran a district up in Connecticut, and I made a great salary and I had great benefits, but no way. Because, I made a set amount of money every month, no matter how hard I worked. I could work 10 times as hard as the guy that ran the district next to me, and I made the same amount of money as him. And it's, I know, this life, this entrepreneurial life, is not for everyone. That's why they make chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream, because it's not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart. You can't get what's the word? I don't want to be inappropriate on the podcast. But, yeah, you just can't get discouraged easily by what people do and say about you, or if they screw you over or whatever. Where, a W-2 job, you can show up every day, and as long as you kind of do your job, you're still going to have a job and get paid the same amount every month. But no, there's no way I would be able to just write an $8,000 check. Absolutely not, because I wouldn't be able to pay my bills that month.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It goes back to, I said, where else can we go? In the mortgage industry, you can, maybe insurance, but say mortgages and real estate, to make the kind of living that you can make, to support others, to support your goals, to support your dreams, to get back into the community and really be, that leader and step into that role and build other leaders, right? So yep. It sounds like you're looking to build other leaders. You're requiring your people to do the things that actually help, that do sell real estate. Yeah. Door knocking, all the things that, we did. I was door knocked starting, I was, I think 10. I was door knocking. I sold.
Probably selling Girl Scout cookies.
Oh, so I did that, but I also sold Christmas cards, Hanukkah cards, and wrapping paper.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I totally did the same. It was a school fundraiser program, right?
Oh, so this was the
Oh.
thing I got I saw it in the mail because I was always pick up our mail. I don't know why, but I always got the mail. I was newsy, I guess, and I wanted to say, and I read this little ad and it said, you can sell our product as a catalog and every item you sell, you get $1. And so my first year I sold 128 products.
Wow.
I made $128.
Wow.
From door knocking. My neighbors, like up to like 2 or 3 blocks away. I grew up in Northeast Philly, so it's kind of like South Philly. All the houses are connected. Obviously, you guys know that, but not everybody out there knows that. So that was like my first door knocking experience.
Well, and it's funny because I've really come to realize in the culture and who we're attracting that. So like I come from first generation, I'm first generation. My parents were from Italy. So my parents owned pizzerias 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like we had dinner together once a week on Wednesdays, and like 5 p.m. would come and we would run to my mom did not have to ask us to go to dinner table. We were like, so like my life mission is to have dinner with my family every night at 5 because it's such, to me, it's like a luxury. Like, oh my gosh, like you can sit at a dinner table with your family and I can do that. Like I can still make a phenomenal living and still cook a beautiful organic meal for my family and still have that balance, And so that to me is like my life mission. Right. And it sounds so simple, but there's so much behind it. But I realize like everyone who is like in our circle has had, when they were younger, has either had a job or their family has given them the grit and the work ethic to make sure that they worked at a young age. And I think I just read a book about why work is truly a gift. And it's because it's ultimately the one thing God gave us that he did too, right? Like God worked for 6 days and then took off on the last day, right? But what happens is a lot of people end up making work a burden because they are working in the wrong things or they're working in the wrong way. And so work no longer becomes a gift. But, our life insurance guy tells us as soon as people stop working, they typically don't live for very long after that. And it's because it gives you significance and purpose. And so as this is a gift, right? Like we're so blessed to be able to do something that we feel so passionate about. But also it's like, when you're ingrained with that grit and that work ethic, and that's really the greatest gift we can give to the next generation, is giving them the ability and the understanding of the importance of why work is such a gift and it's not this burden, And so I think that's where, I think that's where a lot of parents go wrong, is that they don't let their children work, or they don't they hand them everything and they don't let them know what it's like to actually go and earn their way. And so I never, ever been handed a single thing. I paid my way through college. My parents were always so hardworking, so we never asked them anything. And, so I think when I really look back at what an advantage it is to have, to know what it's like to work, to know what it's like to having to earn in order and being able to create something out of nothing. All of our businesses, it's not like you started with an inventory of real estate to sell. You had to go out and get it, So I feel very passionate about passing that down to the next generation, because I think it's going to change the way the entitlement and like Becky said, that impulsion of wanting everything now. And I really think that can all change and I think that that's something that COVID did. I think it shifted a lot of people's abilities and understanding of what the future looks like, So
we've had a couple great years in the real estate world, for the most part anyway. Great years meaning the industry, the sellers had some great years. I don't know that us real estate people had such great years, meaning the toll that it's taken on a lot of folks in regards to, writing 10 offers for clients and things like that, and being a listing agent and maybe having 20 offers to deal with. And then maybe the clients don't get it. And then it's like kind of a mess. But, one of the things when I go back, I always say work works and good work equals more work.
Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because if you do good work and people will refer you business and you will organically get more business because You did a great job. And it may not come this year or next year, or it may be 3 years later that somebody calls, past client, you're like, oh, I got this, one of my friends, he has a property to sell. It's $2 million or whatever. It doesn't matter what the price is. We just got a referral from somebody like that. And all because we sold, 10, 20 things, 10, 15 things for them over the course of several years. And they have the like and the trust in you doing a great job. So doing good work equals more work down the line.
So
for
true.
sure. I mean, this is a long-term, long game business.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Right.
Want it to be that way.
Yeah.
We're willing to invest, that's what Becky and I were just talking about yesterday. We just signed on a new executive admin, our current I can't even call her an EA. It feels so weird to call her an EA. We actually call her our, what do we call her, Beck?
She's really like our director of operations.
Yeah.
Like our COO. Yeah.
She really does everything. So she's actually just going to be focusing on marketing, not just marketing, but really becoming our marketing director. And she has a daughter and wants to work from home and and so we were able to accommodate that for her, right? And being able to shift around the needs of the business so that we can still have her be just as present, and because we just feel that she's so talented and we want her a part of our world. And I think about how all of this comes together at the end of the day. Like, if you want this to be a viable business that's going to be living on for years and years and years, you need to make the right investment in the right people. And that's not an easy thing to do. And so we just hired a new executive admin yesterday, and it was a lengthy process of interviewing and understanding what we want, but it's also really understanding, like, being selective of who we let into our world, not just in our work world, but in our social world, the words that people say. And, as a mom, I can't tell you how many other moms are like, oh, now that you have a second kid, you're still going to run that business. How are you doing it? And, there's the naysayers, and you have to be very careful of who you allow into that world, because, their words can become like, you can give life to people's words, not even intentionally, just through your thoughts. And so it's very important to have people around you who understand your mission and are uplifting you. And so I keep my world very small. I know Becky does the same. I pretty much only talk to her and Nino and our realtors on those days, and occasionally my husband when we cross paths at home. But it's very important to uplift one another as women, because this world, it's tough on us. We have everyone expects you to do. Someone sent me a quote. It's like, you're expected to, when you're expected to be like the perfect mom and the perfect, whatever job you're doing, you're expected to do it all perfectly. And that's not how it works. It's a balance. Give a little bit of everything.
There's no such thing as perfect. It's like trying to catch a rainbow.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So the only thing that we have is that we can do every single day, and I talk about this all the time in my company, is that we take action. Yep. And we take action daily with intention and focus, and that we're focused on these particular activities to move the business forward. And if you take action every single day, only for the day, then eventually the week will happen, the month will happen, the year will happen. I think it's hard for people to grasp that idea that this is a daily thing that needs to happen, at least Monday to Friday, right? I'm speaking from a business perspective.
Yep.
Because you lose the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
And once you lose your momentum, the start of the process again is arduous.
Yeah.
And so just focusing and teaching, like, especially, the newer folks, how important it is to get that momentum and get people up and running as quickly as possible, and to keep going. Because if you don't know, like, you ever read the story about, the guy who's like 3 feet from gold, right? You don't know when it's going to click.
The field, isn't it the field of diamonds, or right? It's
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you really don't know. And that's for us too, like in our businesses. Mm-hmm. We have goals, we have these things that we want to do. And sometimes they could seem Like, oh, am I ever going to get there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
Right? It's
true.
not all sunshine and roses.
No, it's not. Actually, it's funny because Nino texted us and was like, "Hey guys, happy 2 years," and it actually shook me that day because I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's been 2 years." And I look back and I remember the first day we met and everything we wrote down, and we've been so intentional. What you just said, the momentum and the intentionality. And I look back on those 2 years and I said, "Wow, we have done pretty much everything we said we would because we were committed to the vision, the values, and we were committed every day to one another and never held each other accountable through like the accountability is we put on ourselves. Like we never had to hold any, like we don't hold each other accountable. We all show up and we take ownership for everything that happens. If somebody leaves the team, we take ownership. If one of the agents make a mistake, we take ownership. If something happens where in the business where we miss the goal or a deadline or a client opportunity, we take ownership as the leaders because there is something that was not communicated properly, whether it was the wrong person in that place or it was something that wasn't communicated properly. It's completely up.
Raph, we lost your
audio's on. Oh, there you are.
Sorry if someone's calling. I look back and I see that what we saw was where we are today. And so now it's like, okay, like now that 2 years have gone by, like what's our next mile? What else can we build through our commitment together?
So what is that? So you're 2 years. You didn't even realize that 2 years went. So what else is in for Artemis Real Estate, ladies?
I don't know. We are talking about like commercial acquisition. We're we're very smart with our finances. We're very good about putting away a surplus. So we've actually talked about doing some investments through the business and helping grow that and having like multiple streams of income within the business. So that's really the goal, is to make sure that there is different funnels, whether it's mentorship programs. I was actually just thinking just last night, the things that keep me up at night was helping moms who have special needs children get their real estate referral licenses, because it's, there's constant therapies and things that these moms and doctor's appointments, and they can't work a 9 to 5 because they're going to lose their job because they're, have to attend to their children's needs. So like, what if they could be a referral agent and refer business out and be earning income without having to really do, the work and being able to work from home and still tend to their child's needs. So I was just thinking about that last night. I was like, that would be a great coaching program.
Smart.
But things that, and it's not, and I never look at it like, oh, it can make me more money. It's like how, as I'm helping that individual, the money always comes. And that's what I've come to learn. That's how I got into the industry. I was a builder and I just wanted to help other builders build beautiful products because I was looking what was on the market. I'm like, these guys have no idea how to choose finishes. So I would show up with tile samples and then I would end up getting their listings. And that's literally how I run my business till now. I always provide value, and I never count the commission ever until it's in our bank account, like it's just the way that I've always, I don't care if you're at the settle. I've had things fall apart at the settlement table. I don't count it until the wire hits. And that's when I count the money. And even then it's never about the check. It's about okay, now what are we going to do with that? Where are we investing it? So it's a culture for sure.
Yeah. I think that something that is on my next 2 to 5 year plan. I really enjoy educating and speaking, especially to motivate and inspire others, whether they are from low income or they just they didn't have the inner city, and they are the families that are relying on welfare, and they just think there's no hope in sight, because that was me. And I really want to go into schools or whatever the venue is and speak and let them know that, like, hey, I didn't have any any different opportunities than you did. I was proactive and found the opportunities and spoke with the guidance counselors and found a way to get grants and scholarships to pay my way through college, and then and figure out how to set a different standard for my family and break the generational curse of relying on food stamps and living paycheck to paycheck. And if I can do it, they can do it too. And I want them to know that, because I think a lot of people that don't know me, or only met me in the last 5 years of my career or whatever, like they don't know where I came from. I've heard, people, I was like, oh, whatever, like you came from this, or your parents gave you that, or your boyfriend this, that, and like people have no idea. And so I really want people to know that, like, no, this is where, like, you can come from this, and you can set a new, you can have a different outcome for your life, and change the course of your family's what their legacy is, and motivate them to know that it is possible. They can get up, and it breaks my heart because I see people, like, we work a lot in Philly, and it's sad, when we see families that, like, they call us for rentals, and they're like, we can't afford to buy a house, and I'm like, no, you can, like, let me get you in touch with my lender. Like, he's going to help you fix your credit. And he's going to, like, you don't, like, just last night, I got an offer accepted, FHA, 6% seller assist. I haven't gotten that done in over 2 years. So I'm praying that this is a sign that the market is going to shift and correct, because it's well overdue for these buyers that have really lost hope in buying. In Roxborough, nice house, been on the market for 24 days. And this buyer thought the only way she could afford to buy a house was through the Philly First Grant program. And, but there's so many income restrictions on there. She wasn't able to add her boyfriend to the loan. The debt to income ratios are a lot more restrictive than FHA with the Philly First Grant program. So she was limited to what she could look for, and she was getting discouraged. And through knowing what you're talking about with different products on the market, in terms of mortgages, having a fabulous lender, being collaborative and talking about options, we were able to say, hey, we can actually take our FHA, but we need to get a 6% assist. What can we do to get there? Okay, well, we're going to have to find houses that have been on the market for at least 21 days, because the homes that are just listed, they're not going to accept the 6% assist. So, like, knowing, like, having an agent that is thinking outside of the box, that is going to tell you, no, I'm not showing you these houses that just hit the market last weekend, because this is what you need to do if you want to get to this goal of being a homeowner. And this is what we're going to look at. And we did. And it actually still ended up having multiple offers, but they chose us. And so I think a lot of people just don't know what they don't know, and educating them, and then in turn inspiring them to know that they can live a better life than what they're living now. And that's really on my heart. And that's something I want to do, and use the vehicle of our company, Artemis, to do that through.
That's excellent. Yeah, I understand all that, and having been having hard times as a young person myself. So it's really, I love the platform, and we have a similar platform of getting people out of generational poverty, helping people build generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. You guys, you ladies are doing incredible. I love the energy. I love your spirit. I love the name of your company.
Thank you.
You really, really are bringing it to another level. So before we part today, I always like to ask my guests, do you have any, like, books that you absolutely love, or podcasts that you say you have to read this book or listen to this podcast?
So I'll go first. The podcast that I've been obsessed with for a really long time, and it's just absolutely fabulous. It's called Real AF by Andy Frisella.
Oh yeah, Andy Frisella.
Like, obsessed with him. I'm good friends with his wife, Emily. And he's fabulous. Like, he talks about entrepreneurship, business, politics, just everything from you name it, and motivation, how to be a better version of yourself. It's wonderful. So that's the podcast I listen to every day. And I just started reading Ed Milet's new book. It's called The Power of One More. It was just released on June 1st, and I signed up.
I just saw that pop up in my feed.
It was just released, and I signed up to get I pre-ordered it, and it showed up on June 1st through Amazon. And so I started reading it not last night, but the night before, and I'm already like halfway through, and it's absolutely incredible. I'm not done it yet, but I already know I can't wait to finish. I'll probably finish it by the end of the weekend. It's so good. So The Power of One More by Ed Milet, and then the podcast would be Real AF by Andy Frisella.
Awesome. How about you?
So, I do a lot of Audible books. So I normally that's how I don't do as many podcasts, but I do listen to a lot of the books. But something that I just finished, and I've actually, this is my second time reading, is a book called Every Good Endeavor by Tim Keller. And it's a faith-based entrepreneurial book, and it's a really phenomenal read. And it talks about the importance of work and contribution. And it really is just a phenomenal way of setting your mindset, of thinking bigger and thinking about your life as way greater than just what you're doing today, like why you're doing it, and really living in that why. And I just love it, because every time I come across someone who's having a tough time with whether it's their career or making a career change, I always recommend this book, and I always hear back from them that it just reset within them and reinvigorated what they really were meant to be doing. So that's a good one. It's a great, phenomenal novel. It's actually my second time reading it. Yeah,
I love reading books again. I'm all about reading books 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
The book that I always give all of our new agents is The Compound Effect, and
I love that book.
Yeah, it's a book that's
actually favorite book. Anthony reads it the beginning of every year. It's his favorite book.
It's a phenomenal book, and it's changing a lot of their lives. A lot of people don't know. They don't know the stuff we know. They don't.
And sometimes we forget the stuff we know. So sometimes we need to be reminded, because
I always have to reread the book. So we do it. They read a chapter every night during our onboarding boot camp, Rise in Real Estate Academy. And then we talk about the chapter. So there's only 7 chapters. So it's 8 days. And with the conversation on the 8th day, but it's cool. It's a cool book. It's one of my faves. But you ladies have been fabulous today. Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your journey and your story. And Raph, I wish your little girl the best.
Thank you.
And you and your family. I know it's been very difficult and challenging time for you. So I pray for her and for your family.
You'll meet her soon. She's awesome.
I hope so. I'm still at the same spot. The office still at the same. And Becky, it's a pleasure to meet you today.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe we actually haven't met until just now. So I'm so glad we're finally able to meet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope to see you soon. We'll maybe after the summer there'll be some cool real estate event. Actually, I'm going to try to have a women's event. So yeah, I'll let you know, and we maybe can do something.
Thank you,
Maria. Awesome.
Maria,
Thank you so much.
For having.
All right. Bye.
Have a great one.
You too.